Let's go. Welcome to episode 75 of Shane Talks. This is our racing or cruising, I can't remember, no, racing into summertime episode. We are going to talk about cars. We are going to talk about music. We're going to talk about summer. Bro, you're not even on screen yet. I don't know why you're talking. I haven't introduced the greatest podcast co-host in the history of all time. Now you're on screen, Jason Elmayer.
What up?
And I am very happy to be joined by Annette Reynolds tonight. We've long talked about doing a car episode, and it just kind of felt like it was the right time to eventually do it. So thank you, Annette, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And then, Jason, why don't you introduce our other guest, since I technically don't know him?
So, this crazy mofo is from a friend of mine from a long time ago. Haven't had the pleasure of being face-to-face, only Facebook friends for the last 30-something years, because I have not seen his beautiful face since 7th grade. So, Mr. Erik Balanza!
Woo! And since he had such a great, beautiful, huge intro, we might as well throw out Miss Annette Reynolds met us in the February of 2000 when Jason and I were casting our first film, our horror film Consternate. Somehow she agreed to do that film for us that next summer. Spent the summer hanging out. She was one of our leads in that movie. And before we started recording, Erik admitted to us that he watched Consternate not too long ago.
It was a couple of years ago when you posted a link on Facebook.
That's nice. All right, so give us your Consternate review, as you've got 3 of the main cast right here with you. Tell us how you felt about our first film we ever made together.
I thought you guys did a great job. Me and my younger brother, we always we didn't do anything quite that production level, but we used to love making short films, so I always appreciate watching stuff like that,
Well, we very much appreciate you taking the time to watch it, because we had a lot of fun making it.
Yeah, I appreciate, I could, you just tell a bunch of friends are doing something that they really enjoy, and they're making this movie that you want to make come together, and it's just kind of cool to see that. So
yeah, man. The great thing about that is the fact that you just watched it a couple of years ago, but I was explaining to somebody that we've talked about it on the podcast before, but considering what we did when we did it was 99, 2000, 2001-ish, that time frame. Digital filmmaking had not taken off. Digital editing was not known to many. We had to know the head of the media department. We knew the son of the head of the media department over at a local college. So we were literally cutting together, or Shane was cutting together. I'll give him the credit because I was not there for that. In Adobe, and it was literally some of the first digital footage that was ever cut together, probably in Indiana, and shown publicly anyway. So definitely something really awesome and silly and fun, and still my favorite of all the films we made, because of how stupid and silly, and we didn't know what we were doing and just putting stuff together. So
I like at the end, it was kind of we'll return.
We've as recently as a month ago talked about potential ideas for the sequel. Who knows if it'll ever happen?
Yeah, it's so hard to pull that stuff off. The older you get into adulthood, just to get all that together. But it is a lot easier nowadays. That's for sure.
It is a lot easier nowadays.
Was that shot on a mini DV or something?
No, digital 8. High 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. High 8. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Annette, are you still a Final Cut person?
So yes, I still use Final Cut 10, Final Cut 7. I also edit on Avid, mostly at work.
Oh, nice. I just got an email from them saying that it's now available on iPads. And so they were trying to get me to download Final Cut for an iPad. So I might give that a try and see how it goes.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've tried doing Adobe stuff on my iPad, and it's fine, but it's obviously not as easy as on my computer, where I can just shortcut stuff with my fingers. But I might give Final Cut Pro a chance and see how easy it is on an iPad. I don't know. They got me interested enough to give it a try.
The cool thing, though, is you can just buy Final Cut 10 once, be done with it, whereas the Adobe is a subscription-based.
That's what their iPad their iPad thing is, subscription-based also. You either pay by month or by year.
Okay,
so
yeah.
They've definitely adopted the same model, at least for their iPad version.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's $5 a month, or it's $50 for a year, so you get 2 months free.
That's actually that's not
and
bad.
that's the thing. The price point is a lot better than Adobe, which is why I'm thinking about doing it, because I pay $30 a month or whatever for all my Adobe products. So
sure.
So yeah,
Sure.
I'm considering it. We will see. But yeah, so
Yeah.
there's a side tangent that probably nobody gives a shit about. So cool.
Just the editors in the room.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to episode 75. We are cruising into what did I say? I don't even remember what the name of this episode is anymore. We're talking about cars. We're talking about the summer. So before that, the first section of our podcast is called Coming Attractions. And so I ask you guys, what's a trailer? What's something that's coming up that just has you excited? Something that you can't wait to be involved in soon or down the road. So Annette, let's start with you. What's a coming attraction you're interested in?
I'm super excited that I have 2 episodes of Ted Lasso that I still need to watch, and I cannot wait to get to those.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah,
yep.
this week's Ted Lasso episode was rough. This was a rough one.
It's an
Okay.
emotional one. I will say emotional.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean by rough. For me,
Okay.
like, yeah, how
Highly
they've taken a
emotional,
character
bro.
like Jamie Tart that I hated with an undying passion for so long and
Mhm.
made him literally probably my favorite character on the show, close to surpassing Ted, is just
Mm.
some of the most amazing writing and storytelling I've ever seen in a show. And like,
Sure.
I literally hated Jamie Tart for the first season. Go ahead, Jason.
Do you see any similarities between you and Jamie Tart, sir?
I hope one day that I find out that I can not be a douchebag to people also.
I was never going to call you that.
I'll say this though. Last night's episode, I definitely related to Coach Beard a lot there.
Oh, yeah.
No spoilers, please.
No
won't.
spoilers at all.
Okay.
Eric,
So
do you
we are
watch,
all.
Eric,
yeah,
do you
we're-
watch Ted Lasso?
So my brother got me onto the when it first came out, and I've watched the first season, but I haven't watched any past that. So
you have
it's not that I
failed in
didn't-
life, sir.
yeah, it's not that I haven't enjoyed it. It's just one of those things that there's so many things to watch.
No, that should be number one on any list of anything to
Lasso.
ever watch. Is Ted Lasso. It is literally the greatest bit of television that has ever been written in any format. Yeah, I cannot praise it enough.
It is the only show that my wife and I watch together. Everything else she doesn't care about. And every Tuesday, last night, the Celtics were on, and I just was expecting them to lose while I'm sitting there watching them go into halftime. So I texted my wife and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because she was putting down our youngest, and she was like, "I'm waiting for Luke to fall asleep. Is Ted Lasso out again, or has Ted Lasso already come out?" And I was like, "Yep." She was like, "I'll be down as soon as he's asleep." So literally, I think it was like 9:30, 9:35. It releases at 9 o'clock. 9:35, we had it on. And I watched that instead of the final 2 quarters of basketball. And then I turned it on for like the last 5 minutes or whatever and watched the Celtics win that game. But not on a side tangent. Why not? Let's keep going with these side tangents. I'm not expecting the Celtics to win this series. It was actually surprising to see them win yesterday. I'm hoping they can keep that momentum going. I don't think so. I think the Heat are an amazing team. I think Erik Spoelstra is a great coach and doesn't get enough credit for the things that he does and keeps them constantly in contention. So that'll be my side tangent, and I'm done.
Well, no, I'm going to stick on that for a second because it's kind of cool because we have the chance to see history of some kind being made. Either it's the first ever play-in team to make it to the NBA Finals because they're technically listed as an 8th seed, but they were not the 8th seed. They played in the play-in tournament. So it will be the first time ever that a play-in team has made it into the finals. And it's the first time a technical 8th seed has made it since like 1999. So that's been a long time. But then if you guys do manage to come back, I mean, you just got to win the next 3, and 2 of those 3 are at home. You proved that you can win in Miami. Like, it'll be the first time a team in the history of the NBA has come back from being down 3-0. And that could be pretty cool. Did Jason freeze? Is that why Jason's got his eyes closed? And
No,
there
he
he's
is.
back.
I'm back.
He was so upset by what I was saying that he just decided to
Get
freeze
off.
himself. Awesome. So,
Not
so
enough.
Erik.
But yeah, if a team can do it, it's a Boston team.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Erik, what's your coming attraction, man? What's coming up that you're excited about?
I don't have anything like real recent. Like everything that I was kind of looking forward to so far is just recently came out.
Okay.
I was pretty excited that they're going to go ahead and start moving forward with Alita Part 2, which I actually liked the first one a lot, and I was afraid they'd never make the sequel to that. So
Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Do you know if the script is done, or is that going to be waiting in limbo while the writer strike's going on?
Could be,
Okay.
but it sounded like it was getting more footing than it had before. A little
Okay.
more traction previously.
Jason, what's your coming attraction, man?
Oh man, it's a tough one because I keep thinking about all the different things that I want to go do and the money that I'm stupidly wanting to go spend. Honestly, it's probably a concert that's coming up.
Okay.
The concert is a Matchbox 20 concert, but not so much for Matchbox 20. The opening act is Ben Rector, which is one of my favorite musicians, and so I always really, really enjoy getting to see him. And but yeah, he's opening up over at Ruoff or Deer Creek.
Deer Creek.
More
we only call it Deer Creek on this podcast.
Understood. Yeah, so it's they're over at Deer Creek. I'm excited for that. That should be happening sometime soon. So I think that's in August. Yeah, at the beginning of August. So
nice, very cool. My coming attraction is even farther out than August, but last week tickets went on sale for something that I'm extremely excited and happy to finally be getting to go to. One of my favorite British comedians is named Russell Howard. He is coming to Indianapolis in October. Caitlin and I were supposed to go to Chicago to see him a couple of years ago, and then COVID hit, so we were not able to go up there and see him. His whole
magazine day. Sorry.
October. I was like, he has nothing to do with Adam Sandler, but it was the October. Got it. Took me a second. Apologies. But yeah, so he is my one of my top 3 comedians that I enjoy, so I'm really excited about getting to go see him live. Tickets dropped last week, so I am all set to go see Russell Howard in October. All right. Part 2 is called My First Time. What? Pause.
Did Annette get to say her coming soon?
She did. Ted Lasso. That's how we got on the Ted Lasso tangent.
You're good. You're good.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure because I was like, talking about Ted Lasso, we could do that anytime. So
I mean,
sorry.
We will probably at some point after next week, when it's all done and said and over, we will probably do a massive 4-hour Ted Lasso podcast where we'll just get a couple of friends that really like Ted Lasso and we'll sit around and talk nothing about Ted Lasso. It'll be just like a bonus Ted Lasso episode. We'll call it Be a Goldfish and we will go from there.
Football is life.
Yeah, football is life. Daniel Rojas.
Okay.
All right. So
I have to tell you this story.
Yeah,
so
ahead.
I found this clip online, and it was the guy who plays Danny Rojas, and they were talking. He was at Graham Norton or somewhere. I can't remember where, but he was like, "Are you?" They asked him, "Are you sick of people coming up to you and saying football is life?" And he was like, no, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's great. It's wonderful. It means that they're enjoying the show. And he goes, I did have a weird thing where he said he was in London and he was shopping at a grocery store at a Whole Foods. And he just kept walking the aisles and felt like something strange. And so he finally started paying attention. He saw somebody was following him. And then finally he kind of locked eyes with this woman and she looked at him and she just went, football is life. And he was like, he said it was the creepiest thing. He said it was the creepiest thing ever, but he appreciated it. And but I just love that story here in Danny Rojas to said that to me that way. I think I did. Security.
So real quick before we move on to my first time, let's address the fact, Jason, we're drinking a sour together tonight, man. It's been a long time since we had a shared beer on the podcast. So you had one of these last weekend and you had a sip of it last weekend and now do you still enjoy it?
Yeah, thank you for the beer. Thank you for the money from poker last week too.
Oh, you can proper fuck off with that. So Slush from Prairie Artisan Ales is a sour that has strawberry, raspberry, lemon, and lime, and it is absolutely amazing. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it, because a lot of the beers that I try to get you to like, you're not a fan of. But
oh hell no!
But I'm glad you liked this one. So Annette, let me know what your first time is. What was something you've watched recently for the first time that you had not seen before? I don't know, the last 2 to 3 weeks when you knew you were going to be on the show.
So I just saw a film called A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks and a cat. I know you guys like cats, but there's also a Celica cameo in the film. But yeah, I thought it was a
cool.
really
So there's one. One movie with a Celica in it. We'll get to the BMW list later that just goes on and on. And
Okay.
Clive Owen doing the entire short film series for BMW films. Like,
Hey, she's talking, not you. Shush.
oh, my bad.
Anyway, it's a really sweet film. I love Tom Hanks, and it's just such a good film.
I've kind of heard mixed things about it, so I have not gotten to it yet. Yeah, I've heard some people that I know that I kind of share film interest with. They said they didn't like it, so that's.
Oh,
I want to see it.
Tom
Hanks. Not rush down
okay,
right?
It's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I just watched that within the last week as well because it was.
Isn't it good?
Yeah.
You liked it? Okay. Well,
yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
Now I'm hearing good things about it. Maybe I'll move it up on the list to watch soon. Why you say no, Jason?
No, I said no, you won't.
No, I won't. You don't call me out in front of everybody. I'm trying to say it to. If Tom Hanks ever listens to this, I want him to know that I pretended I was going to listen to or watch his show. Anyway, Erik, I'm not letting you use the same movie. What was a movie you have recently watched for the first time?
It was a new movie. I just watched Guardians 3 the other day.
Right on. Thoughts and feelings on it?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm not a huge Marvel fan, and the Guardians movies are one of the only ones that I think I've enjoyed because they don't take themselves as seriously, so you can kind of watch.
Let me get this straight. Jason introduces you to comic books. You like comic books. You don't like Marvel movies.
I do like comic books, but I'm not like a hardcore. I'm not a hardcore comic person. Not like Jason. I just know. I probably just know more about the X-Men than I ever would had I not met Jason. Because that was around the time when the X-Men cartoon show was out too.
Oh, on Fox.
That show was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, your first time. What you seen recently?
Nope, I'm flipping it. You go.
Cool. In the vein and on topic for this month's podcast, man, I am never going to get that right. I will never not say week. This month's podcast, last week, Jason and I actually went together to go watch Fast X, which is a franchise that I enjoy the fuck out of because they are dumb, they are ridiculous, they are stupid. First film, phenomenal. First film, 10 out of 10 in my opinion, amazing film. They have literally, the second one's really bad, and then they kind of did better with the third one and have progressively gotten worse since then. I admit that. These are not good films. These are not films that I think are good. They're not groundbreaking. They're not phenomenal, but they have characters that I love and enjoy, and they do really stupid shit with cars. Like the movie, I don't know, let's throw out Crank. Jason, aren't you a fan of the movie Crank?
All right.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculously fucking stupid and makes no sense whatsoever, but it's fun. They do really dumb and stupid shit in that movie, but it's still a lot of fun. And that's how I feel about the Fast franchise. They're not good movies, but they're fun movies. So I enjoyed Fast X. I give it a solid 3.5 out of 10. It's definitely worth watching if you care about the franchise. All right. So now, Jason, bookend us with what you've got.
So the main reason I made you go first was because I was going to pick the exact same one. And, I always steal yours by accident because we never coordinate. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't do that this time.
Perfect. I appreciate
Good
that.
job.
Yeah, right.
Success.
Hence why you were the greatest co-host in the history of podcasting.
Understood.
You read the room and you know how to make me not upset tonight.
So, this is tough because I can't think of anything that I've watched since we, you know what? We haven't talked about Hypnotic.
Oh,
last podcast.
No.
So I will go with that because I couldn't think of anything else that I've watched for the first time recently. But yeah, so Hypnotic, Robert Rodriguez trying to be M. Night Shyamalan or Shyamalan. I can't. Yep, M. Night. He's trying to be M. Night in this movie.
Yep.
It's got Ben Affleck in it. It's got William Fichtner. And it's just okay. It's just all right. It's a 2.5 out of 5 for me. It's an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half long, but it feels a little bit longer than that because of the way that they did things. But how they end it, and it's really a thinking movie. It makes you think
Absolutely.
a lot more after you've seen it. And it definitely dominated my thought process for like 3 or 4 days afterwards because I was like,
Absolutely.
yeah, but okay, all right, yeah, okay. It's just kind of a unique movie.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I would say, yeah, that'll be my first time for today.
Nice. And I will piggyback off that and say that is definitely a movie that while we were watching it, I just thought it was okay. And then, like you said, the next day I texted you and I was like, man, I can't stop thinking about this movie because while we were watching it, there was times I would lean over to you and I'd be like, this is stupid. Like, why isn't this person just shooting him? Why isn't this happening? And then when you get to Act 3 and like the Shyamalan twist happens and you find out what was really going on, then you're like, oh, they couldn't have done those things that I thought that they should do because it would have ruined something else. And so like thinking about it the next day, like it was a lot better than I thought it was while we were watching it. So I'm more of a fan. I mean, would I have been as big of a fan if it wasn't Ben Affleck? I don't know. But it's just like, I mean, maybe I might have still liked it.
Yeah, you might have.
They could have got Brad Pitt to do it, and then I probably would have still liked it a lot.
Yeah, your other man crush.
Yeah. We'll get to my third man crush, Mr. Walker, here in a little bit. But right now we have hit the halftime, which is never really halftime. Should really just be more like the 6-minute TV timeout because of how much stuff we've got going on after this. But we're going to throw it over to Troy. So Shane and Troy, let's do Troy's halftime show. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. I am here at the favorite part of our show, the midway point, which is nowhere near the midway point of any episode ever, because the back half is always so much longer. But we are at Troy's halftime talk of the show, where I throw it over to Troy to kind of get us pumped up for that second half of what's to come. You know what the Mount Rushmore is that we'll be coming back to the episode in just a minute. So what do you got for us this week, Troy, or this month, Troy? Someday I'll remember that this is a monthly episode now.
Oh man, like I know you got like a questionnaire tonight at the end of this, so
I do. It's gonna be a really long episode.
Yeah, like seriously, enjoy the first 10 minutes with me, and then the next 3 hours, not me. You sit around missing me. I understand it. So I guess you're talking about cars this month,
cars.
Like
yep.
Probably due to the Indianapolis 500.
Absolutely.
Taking place in our wonderful home state.
Absolutely.
But like y'all know me.
Do you like cars?
People know me.
Do you like cars?
Not really.
No.
I don't really like. I'm indifferent toward cars. I find people that drive fast annoying.
What about cars in movies? Are there any cars in movies that you like?
Well, that's the thing. So you prompted me with this or whatever, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna think about it. And I was just like, man, the one thing I do like to do in a car is I like cruising around, generally at night, generally listening to some fucking music, like other things, just driving around, And so it's weird, but like almost all the movies that I associate with cars follow that template.
I have a feeling I know at least one of them for sure.
None more so than possibly the greatest film ever made. A little film out of West Texas called Dazed and Confused.
Cool. That was what I was thinking.
I don't care how many racing movies they make, there will never be a better scene that takes place in an automobile than Matthew McConaughey asking the freshman, hey man, you got a joint?
No, man, I don't.
Be a lot cooler if you did. That's what and honestly, that's where my mind went. That's the first thing I thought of when I was like, what's a car movie? And I was like, Dazed and Confused. It's just like nothing projects my relationship with a car probably more than that movie.
Right on.
Or at least like the good energy that I get off of cars. Like I think it's crazy doing some research about the making of that movie. That movie actually started off as like a spec script that was essentially supposed to only be about like the Woodruffson character and like I can't remember which other guy. And they were just driving around at night in Texas listening to the album like Tusk by ZZ Top.
Really?
And it was originally only supposed to be like a 70-minute movie. It was just going to be the two guys driving around. It was going to be the duration of the album and like whatever they got into during that. And I'm really happy they went a different direction. And
that still would have been interesting to see.
it's just an interesting idea that like that's where the seeds of that movie, Dazed and Confused, came from.
Sure.
You
So
know, just driving around.
if it was a spec script for that, was there actually dialogue written, or was Linklater going to let them like just say whatever they wanted while they were listening to the album? Do you know?
I don't know much about
Okay.
the Richard Linklater process. Like I get the feeling that there was a lot in Dazed and Confused that wasn't necessarily on the page.
Scripted. Okay, I believe that.
But it would not surprise me either way. But thinking back, you know, if you haven't seen Dazed and Confused, go do yourself a fucking favor. It's playing at the Art Craft later in June.
Oh, awesome. That's good to know.
It's approaching or has passed its 30th anniversary. There's no excuse for you to have not seen this movie. It's fucking real shit.
Next year, I think it came out in '93. So
I mean,
maybe
this is
this
year?
is 2023. Yeah, wow. I don't even know what year it is. Jeez.
But just find your way onto the end of this movie. Sit back and enjoy yourself.
Shane supports Troy's statement.
There you go. That's the best car movie ever made.
I love it, man.
Other than that, the only other thing that I really associate with cars in my own personal life is car trouble.
Okay.
Probably just like a negative way of thinking about, like, you know, and I blame that on cars.
Sure.
And so that weirdly enough, the next two movies I associate with cars, a lovely little film from the 80s called Adventures in Babysitting.
Absolutely. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, they're going into Chicago. They get the thing. The Thor guy shows up with the tow truck. Vincent D'Onofrio, I believe, playing
I think
Thor.
you were correct. Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic movie, man. Don't fuck with the babysitter. Like Elizabeth Shue looking absolutely gorgeous in every scene. Effervescently cool. I love that movie.
That is a great
really
film.
good movie. And the weirdest movie that I associate with cars, also starring Elizabeth Shue, is the movie The Karate Kid.
Oh, okay. All right, that's a curveball. Yeah.
There are so many weird plot points and twists in that movie that hinge on like a car.
Wow.
There's the scene on the date. Well, the first scene you see is him push starting his mom's car when they're showing up in Reseda.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's a plot point where that happens on a date.
Yep.
With him and Elizabeth Shue. The whole concept of wax on and wax off, which is how he, quote, technically learns karate, is done
on a car.
On cars.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi, for his 16th birthday, gives him a pick of the litter.
Yep.
A fire car, which he takes to impress his girlfriend. And it's like a nice bookend from the first date to the next date. Like,
absolutely.
It's his glow up. And essentially, you could argue that, like, he cheated at the karate tournament, but like he was winning in life because of his cars. And if you are a super fan like me and got into the Cobra Kai television show, what does Daniel-san do now?
He sells cars.
Johnny got into the whole thing hinges on the fact that Johnny got caught drunk driving. And then Daniel-san's daughter got in a car accident with him.
Wow, bro, you've taken cars to a new level that I didn't even think about.
It's
wow.
It's a strange movie that like revolves all around cars. I mean, if you believe in like the idea that like manifest destiny started with the railroads, but like took off with cars in America.
Sure.
Like it's literally how we got coast to coast. It's why Route 66 is famous. It's why like I mean, it's like, and so like, you can almost distill like any sort of American movie into like their relationship with cars. True. And these three that I just mentioned just kind of hit on mine.
That's awesome, man. That is pretty dope.
So, car movies.
We're about to go back and do everybody's Mount Rushmore for this month, which we are talking about songs that remind you of the summer. Oh yeah, what you got?
One more thing. That being said, That being said, there are a few good movies about racing, and I would feel like if I did not shout out
Sure.
Days of Thunder,
Okay.
Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby,
Yep.
and the movie Rush,
Oh, okay.
the Ron Howard movie with what's the guy, the Hemsworth brother,
Yeah, I can't remember which one's in it.
and Daniel Buell, where they play
German.
F1 drivers from the 70s. That movie is fucking rad. That movie is the movie that Ford versus Ferrari wishes it was.
So for when we go back and we're having our car discussion after we wrap up halftime, I created a 21 car starting field for us to talk about. That movie Rush that you mentioned is in the first row. It is the outside car in the first row.
What's the full position?
Pole position is Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, see, I hard disagree.
So how this was determined was I thought up the first 21 films that I could think of that had to do with racing. Then I went to the IMDb, the Rotten Tomatoes, and Letterboxd and looked at the ratings on there.
You got to quit doing that, dog.
And averaged them. So it was kind of a collection from everywhere.
You're not a scientist. You should just make it based on how you feel and fuck everybody else. Everybody else should have to argue their way onto that grid.
Talladega Nights is in row 3, the middle position.
That's fair.
And I know Days of Thunder is on here somewhere. Days of Thunder is the 5th row, middle position.
Man, what's in that 21st spot?
21st spot is, give me 1 second to get back here. 21st spot is the Nicolas Cage film Driven. No, wait, not Nicolas Cage. Sylvester
Stallone.
Yeah, the Sylvester Stallone Driven movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can take cars. Racing is one of them. Mm-hmm. Racing is fine.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we're about to go back and we're going to do our Mount Rushmores, but I believe you put together a Mount Rushmore for this, right?
Yeah, man. Songs of the summer, right?
Songs of the summer. What songs remind you of the summer, Troy?
The first song that came to my mind when you said summertime songs is from all-time summer god Snoop Dogg.
Oh,
D-O-double-G. And it is Gin and Juice.
Juice. Okay, all right. I love the song. I don't know if it would be a summer song for me, but I mean, I love the song.
You just got to think of the video where Snoop Dogg's doing the because he's got his 40 in his hand, and that's the only dance he can do when you're carrying a 40 and smoking a blunt.
Okay.
Smoking weed in Indo, sipping on gin and juice.
That sounds like
the second song. I don't even know that this song came out in summer, but I've always associated it with summer. Is the song "Heartbreaker" by Mariah Carey and Jay-Z.
Oh, okay, all right. Another song I do enjoy.
There is something about that song. It has such a bouncy, roller skating, slip and slide vibe to it.
Absolutely.
I think the video, if I remember correctly, takes place at an outside car wash, which is a total summer activity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just everything about it, just reeks of disposable fun. We're here to create a 3-minute memory and snapshot your entire summer. It's like a fucking firework on the 4th of July.
That Rainbow album, I'm trying to remember if that was her first album after her divorce, because the rumor is that when she was married to Tommy Mottola that he wouldn't let her bring on any of the rappers or anything.
It was the one with Honey was the first one after her divorce, because then she did Honey with Puff.
There you go. Yeah. So Heartbreaker, obviously, or the song you're talking about, and the Rainbow album was after that. Yeah.
Had the rainbows, the whole deal. Number 3, in a show of the fact that rap and R&B just own fucking summer.
Sure.
I Know There's Gonna Be Good Times. Sung by Jamie XX and Young Thug. Maybe coming up on a 10th year anniversary. I listened to that song 1,000 fucking times that summer came out. Or the summer it came out. I literally think it's my favorite song that I put on this list. Had to put it on there because it actually does remind me specifically of summers for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look into this song because I mean I may have heard it, but I don't know the song.
You've probably heard it,
Yeah.
just being out in public and in the world. It's
Sure.
fantastic. And then a non-rap song that also reminds me a lot of the summers growing up is "Sweet Emotion" by Aerosmith.
Oh, okay. That's a
tying
great
back
song.
tying back into the fact that it is the intro song to Dazed and Confused.
Good call. Good call.
Which takes place on the last day of school in 1976.
Yes. Okay. I like how you brought all that together.
Fucking. But anyway, like "Sweet Emotion" was the first song on this mixtape.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but like I used to be like an obsessive mixtape maker. I would make them like once a week. Yep. I would like make covers for them. I would like give them to people. Yep. I was like insane about it.
I believe I have 2 of them from you, I think.
Would not surprise me.
I think I've got 2.
And so I put the song "Sweet Emotion." It was the first song on a mixtape that was called "Rock and Roll Super Bowl," which literally got passed back and forth between me and Mike Scott.
Nice.
Through like the ages of like 18 to like 24. Like almost every summer, like one of us had it with him and we would just like pop it in. It was bullshit classic rock.
Nice.
And we would just like find whatever spot, go smoke as much pot as we absolutely could. And we would listen to this thing over and over again to where like we knew like the intonations and like the AC/DC joints. You know, nice. We knew like all the fucking Who songs. And I don't even really like fucking classic rock. I still don't to this day for the most part. Like and I'm pretty sure Mike didn't really either. But for whatever reason, man, "Sweet Emotion." Like anytime I hear that song, it makes me want to go outside in the grass and hang out.
Nice. Dude, that's badass. I appreciate your time this month. See, I got it right that time. This month. Always a blast chatting with you and hearing you change my complete outlook on the Karate Kid now and how it's literally always been just about cars and continues to be about cars.
Yeah, it totally plays into the idea that Johnny was the real Karate Kid and
absolutely.
Daniel was just some fucking like
used car salesman.
Here's some grease head from Jersey, man. Get out of here, buddy.
Awesome, brother. So next month, get your summer movie camp memories ready. We're going to be joined by Dave Mayer to talk about kid movies from the summer movie camp while we worked at Clearwater. Did you work a summer at Clearwater when you were there?
I don't think that they had summer movie camp. I may not have even made it to a summer. I really don't know, man.
Right on. So
I think they were probably just like, let's just let Troy deal with mainly adults. They were like, we don't want this guy.
You may have been the evening box office person when summer movie camp was going on.
They're just going to be like, this guy's going to try and sell the kids drugs. Like, bad news. Like keep him away.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, get your mind cranking on summer. Maybe talk about summer movies you've taken Mabel to then.
I'll come up with something.
I have no doubt about that, brother. Always a pleasure having you on the show. We will talk to you next month.
Take it easy, bud. Thanks.
And back to Shane and the rest of the crew. And Troy literally just blew my mind explaining to me the fact that the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai are literally just all about cars. Like, it's literally not even a karate show or movie. Like, it's literally just about being a used car salesman. Like, I never would have thought about that. Troy, thank you for blowing my mind tonight. I really appreciate that eye-opening take that you had on the Karate Kid and how it's a car movie. So cool. So now we are going to hit my favorite part of the show. Well, one of my, in my top 3 favorite parts of the show, which is going to be Mount Rushmore, where we're doing a little off topic because I thought, we could do your 4 favorite like cars from movies. And then I was like, probably 3 out of the 4 is going to be the same for everybody. And then there will be a random 4th car because I'm sure the DeLorean is going to be on everybody's list. So decided to stay away from that. We'll talk about all those cars in the main feature. So I asked you guys, what are 4 songs that remind you of the summer? They don't have to be released in the summer. They don't have to have anything to do with the summer. But when you think about summer, either summer of the past, summer of now, summer of last summer. Like, what are 4 songs that just hit you in the emotional, mental summer state? And since we've been starting with Annette a lot, let's go ahead and start with Erik this time. So Erik, let me hear your Mount Rushmore of summer songs.
Okay, well, maybe a little corny because some of them have summertime in the title.
Don't feel bad. I
But,
went the same way.
Okay, so Will Smith's "Summertime." It
Okay,
seems like that
absolutely.
always kicks off summer,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Brian Adams, "Summer of '69."
Yep.
For some reason, Jane's Addiction. Jane Says. Whenever I hear that, just kind of a summertime tune, and then pretty much anything by Sublime as well. Like,
Okay, where's the Sublime
Leader.
come from?
I don't know. It just reminds me of summer when I hear it. It sounds
Nice.
like jams that kick off the summer. I don't know.
Very cool. Kick ass. That's a good list right there. Anything you want to add to any of your picks or anything like that? Any reasoning behind anything? Any summer stories that hits you with one of those songs?
Ever since I can remember, "Summertime" by Will Smith. That was just like that was always me and my friends' thing. It's not summer until you hear that song on the radio.
Nice.
So that was just
How many times do we hit play on that, like the last day of school too? Like you were just like,
right, it's just classic, yeah.
like I'm leaving school. This is spinning in my CD player
Yeah, it's official.
Okay.
or on
okay.
my tape deck.
That's right.
So real quick, all 3 of you, I need to ask then, last day of school pick, would it be Will Smith's "Summertime" or Alice Cooper's "School's Out"?
Oh, it's definitely
That's a tough-
summertime.
Summertime?
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
Summertime?
We're gonna play both of them, right? I'll go "Summertime" though. That's
hard. That's a hard one.
That's like the summer anthem for me. The "Summertime."
All right,
Yeah.
Annette, "Summertime", "School's
I'm
Out"?
gonna go with "Summertime."
All right, there we go. Majority rules. Very cool. All right, Erik, anything else to say about summer songs?
Oh no, I'll be
No?
interested to hear everybody else's.
All right, Annette,
They hit you, you're like, oh yeah, of course.
what's your summer songs, Annette?
Okay, so I also went with like summer as the theme and the title of the
Awesome.
song because I
Okay.
kind of think that way.
Sure.
"Summertime" Will Smith was my number 1.
Nice.
The second one I thought of was "Summertime Sadness" by Lana Del Rey. I don't know if you
I
guys
don't know that song.
one.
I know the song.
Okay.
It's a little sad for summertime.
It is, but it comes up.
Summers can't always be happy.
And then there's a "Summertime" that's sung by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong.
I don't know that song either.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's been covered by everybody, but it's just
Okay.
it's a summertime song. And then also Sublime has a song called "Summertime,"
Summertime.
which
Okay.
yeah, is probably why you were also thinking Sublime
Yeah,
too.
makes
So
sense.
yeah, those are
Nice.
my 4.
Very cool. Mr. Mayor, what is your Mount Rushmore of summer jams?
First one is right up there with everybody else, but I will say it's the DJ Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince
Ooh.
version of "Summertime."
Okay.
Not step into Will Smith until
True,
later,
true.
but no. So I'll give you that one. What's weird is like I was sitting there trying to figure everything out, right? And I'm like, man, besides that song, what else?
Right.
Like out of everything. But you know what? And I started thinking of, well, when you're driving around in the summer and you're like, especially when you're a teenager, you're cruising, or Annette just last week, have your windows open, you're just driving, you're either with friends, whatever the case may be. One of the songs that's been stuck in my head and constantly pops up, and I didn't get to drive around. I'm a little too old for this to be any part of my my high school days by any means, but "Ain't It Fun" by Paramore is like a jam that I love to just like turn up in the summer, and just like I'll give you that. Another one, "Radar Love" is a summertime song for me, like driving around, just going somewhere, having the just the beat and the hi-hats and stuff in that song. Would you stop, you two? Sorry, my dogs are being stupid. And then I hate to admit this by any stretch of the imagination, because I don't think she's that talented as an artist personally, and she's got catchy songs, and this is one of the ones that sticks into my head, and it's probably because of the person who's featured on it is "California Girls" Katy Perry with Snoop on it.
Dogg.
I don't know what it is about that song. It just hits me properly, and I enjoy the heck out of it. So
It's
that's
a
what I'm
very
going.
fun and upbeat song, so I definitely can't fault you for that. I definitely have a Katy Perry phase that I went through as well. So
Yeah, I
don't fault
have
you
a
for that
phase.
song though.
Just that song, not a phase.
She has a lot of really good tracks, man. You should listen to her. Her and Kesha, like they're both really like from a great period of pop music time.
You say that, but like literally, Katy Perry and Taylor Swift literally sound interchangeable to me. Like you could, and I don't mean from a like a tone standpoint on their voices. I just mean like literally they could sing each other's songs and you wouldn't know the difference of who actually wrote or whatever, in my opinion. I think that they are very, very similar, especially since Taylor Swift went pop on her music. I literally, you could probably just pull her voice out, put Katy Perry's in, and it's the exact same. So
I'm not well versed enough in either of their musics to be able to make an argument for or against you, so I will not even try.
Sure.
I mean,
okay. So what are your 4 songs?
So I have 9. I had trouble weeding it down.
I saw those eyes, Eric. I saw those eyes. Oh, geez.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Eric, if you're not familiar with the podcast, I kind of talk a lot, and I go over and above and beyond
and beyond. A lot of pieces of flair, huh?
A lot, yes. I want to make sure I have enough flair. Like if we were talking about cruising around in the summertime back in the 90s, like it would have been like Bone Thugs and Harmony or Eminem or West Side Connection or Kid Rock. And I mean, like Kid Rock is on this list. He's an honorable mention. Kid Rock's All Summer Long, honorable mention. Another honorable mention would be Don Henley's Boys of Summer. Again, has the name Summer in it. So Boys of Summer would be another honorable mention. So the 4 that I would go with for mine. Number 4, not necessarily a song that reminds me of summer. It does have summer in the name, but it's just a track that I grew up with. Absolutely love it. Listen to it all the time. Would be Bryan Adams' Summer of '69. Track that I grew up with. Absolutely love it. I love the storytelling in it, talking about, events that happen throughout a summer. So I enjoy the storytelling on that one. I'm going to throw this one on here, even though it's very embarrassing and probably one of the worst songs I've ever heard, but at the same time, it's just so catchy that it gets
Barbie
stuck
Girl
in your head. No. Same time frame though. This song is also probably going to be on my list because it came out in June of 1999. And that would be from the amazing band, I say that with all sarcasm, LFO has a Summer Girls. Yeah, so LFO, that would be my second one. My third one it doesn't have summer in the title at all, but it reminds me of the summer of '99. And that would be TLC's No Scrubs. And Jason, I don't know if you're laughing because you know where I'm going with this, but I had a coworker at Clearwater. Her name was Leola Simpson. And that entire summer, anytime that song came on, whether we were at work or whether we were at the bowling alley, she always danced to it. And so, like, just, she's since passed away. Rest in peace, Leola. But it's one of those things that I remember that summer working at the theater. That song was insanely popular, and wherever we heard it, she would dance to it. So that is actually a summer memory for that song. And then my number 1 is movie related. The summer of 2001, a film called American Pie 2 came out. The title track from that album was Be Like That from Three Doors Down. And they rewrote some of the lyrics to that song to go with the movie. So the album version of the song is different from the song version that's on the soundtrack for American Pie 2. And I always that summer, that was a big movie that I really enjoyed. And that song just really sticks out from that summer for me. So those are, I mean, there's more honorable mentions, but they're fine. Yes, so that is my Mount Rushmore of my 4 summer songs. Anybody else have other summer ones they want to throw out since that went kind of quick?
Yours were good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So also,
paint a picture. Is it
it just called Picture?
Yes. Yeah.
This picture, yeah.
By like, are you talking about Take
I-
My Picture by Filter?
Yeah.
Or like,
Is it Take My Picture?
Yeah.
It was
Filter?
the girl next door, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one sticks into my head a lot, thinking about summertime as well.
Nice.
But
I
you know,
cannot say
I
if
thought we were
was.
trying to stay to 4.
Well, we kind of breezed through them pretty quick, so I thought I'd give anybody a chance to say anything. I threw in some extra ones because I mean, Mount Rushmore is subjective apparently. Like I break the rules. Last month, Drew gave us 5 characters in Star Wars that he liked, so it happens. All right. Well, now we're going to come on to our feature presentation, which is talking about car movies. And as far as car movies went, I sat down one night and I thought up the first 21 movies I could think of that involved racing, not necessarily just cars, but stuff that had racing involved in it. We will definitely discuss some other car movies later because Back to the Future is not in the field that are about to race in what we're going to talk about. So give me 1 second to pull up the field. So what happened is those first 21 movies that I could think of, and I did like Fast and the Furious as just the first one. I did the Transporter as just the first one. I didn't do franchises or anything like that. Thought up the first 21 that came to my mind. As Annette has pointed out, I've forgotten some and I missed some, and she's going to bring those up later to tell me what I missed. But the first 21 I could think of, I then went to the IMDb, I went to Rotten Tomatoes, and I went to Letterboxd, and I took their scores from all 3 of those websites and I averaged them out. By the highest rater became our pole position sitter. You can shake your head all you want, but that's how the field was created. It's not necessarily the order that it's going to finish when the race is over.
And
The
this
pole
is
sitter-
Shane Talk, so you get to do it however you want to, sir.
I do get to do however I want, because if I asked other people to do this, it would take longer than a month to get all this shit ready to go. So I just sit down and I do everything by myself. And yeah, it's Shane Talks. We
should rename it to Shane's the Boss.
Man, we could do like we could film like a Who's the Boss intro for us.
I'm out. Let's pull a Zach Morris right now. I'm out. Let's get back on topic here, sir.
No, this
Sorry,
Shane's
I
the
had
Boss
to.
theme is like I'm kind of getting into it. Like I could redo the logo as like the Who's the Boss logo, and then we could shot for shot remake the opening scene of Who's the Boss. Like
Sorry.
that would be brilliant. Our next TV episode, that's what we're gonna have to do. And
Yeah,
not only that, we're gonna do an entire episode where all we do is refilm openings to different TV shows. Like we'll get our friends involved and we'll reshoot the Friends opening, like the entire Friends opening.
And we can ask somebody to shoot Erik, and then you can edit him in.
Absolutely, I can do
People
anything.
from other states and make them like, hey, you have to recreate this, and then
Yes, absolutely.
like Mr. Belvedere or something. I don't know.
Oh, that would be a good one too. Yeah, we could do the Saved by the Bell opening. We got the Growing Pains opening. Boy Meets World opening. Which one?
It reminded me of Beacon Rewind, where they're like remaking. all
Yes,
the
yes.
movies.
Oh, it'll be so like that. We'll do a whole episode where we just remake TV show openings and use our friends instead. Oh, that's gonna be great. Write that idea down. Yeah. Cool. So back to the 21 movies that I put into the Shane 500. That's what we'll call this. This is the Shane 500. So we're going to start at the back. We're going to start with the shitty movies. We don't really need to talk about anything that we don't want to talk about, so that we can get through all these and get to the other topics we have to discuss. But in the back row, the 3 worst movies that I could think of to be a part of our starting field was, in last place was Driven, the Sylvester Stallone garbage film that I am not a fan of at all. Next up is I am a fan of Lindsay Lohan, but this movie was absolutely terrible, despite the fact Justin Long was in it. Herbie Fully Loaded. And on the inside of row 7, we are looking at Need for Speed, which was
Aaron Paul
and Imogen Potts. Yeah. So 3 really terrible movies. Anybody have anything good to say about any of those?
Actually, really, as far as Need for Speed, you want to talk about Fast X being those stupid, ridiculous movies that are just fun. I had fun with Need for Speed. It's not a good movie by any means. I believe it was in 3D when I got to watch it at the theater. and I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it. So I definitely see things on here that are worse than that, in my opinion, but I understand your ranking system, and it probably deserves to be at the bottom. But yeah, it's not a good movie, but it was entertaining when I watched it. I've never watched it again, never intend to watch it again. So
I support the fact that you had. I support the fact that you had fun with that movie that was not very good, and I am happy that it brought you happiness to watch a not good movie. I'm glad you had fun with it, because that's all entertainment is supposed to be. Is doesn't matter how bad it is, as long as you have fun. That little suspension of disbelief where you can go in and it's just a movie, it's just entertainment, it's not supposed to imitate life. It's just, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have a really, really good time. I was hoping you were gonna keep drinking while I was talking. Cool. So we can move on. Annette, you got anything to say about these three movies?
I like Herbie Fully Loaded. I thought it was cute that the car was like alive. I like Lindsay Lohan. I love Justin Long. I really like that movie. I own it on DVD. Like it's a cute one that I like to pop in and watch. So yeah.
I'm gonna attempt to support you the same way that I supported Jason, just with not as many words. Erik, how about you? What's in that last row that you got to say about?
So in the last row, Driven, terrible movie, but there was a part where they had some F1 cars out on the public streets, and that was awesome to me. That was like a dream, like to put race cars on the streets. So that was one of those parts that I enjoyed.
Not this weekend because it's the Indy 500, but I think the weekend after that, it's the next race for the IndyCar series is in Detroit, and they're racing through the streets of downtown Detroit. Yeah. So I don't know if you'll be able to get to watch that or not, but I was just at the track this past weekend and got to hear about that a little bit, and that sounds kind of exciting for me. I'm not a huge racing fan for people just doing circles.
Me neither. When I was in Vegas a couple weeks ago, they're setting up for them to do that in Vegas as well.
Oh wow!
Race down some of the streets, so that'd probably be really cool to see.
Yeah,
I know there's Monaco, I think it is, somewhere over in Europe where they've done that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna move up to row 6. In row 6, oh, I'm so excited about row 6. 2 out of these 3 are movies that I absolutely love. We'll start with the outside of row 6. It's Gone in 60 Seconds. Angelina Jolie is absolutely gorgeous, and I really don't care about the rest of the plot of that movie. There's a lot of beautiful cars, but Angelina Jolie is in that movie, and probably the hottest she's ever been in a film. So, yeah, big fan of Gone in 60 Seconds. Middle of row 6 is Drive Angry, another Nicolas Cage movie. So you got Nick Cage next to Nick Cage here. Drive Angry was whatever. Like
Amber Heard
being okay. Amber Heard was in it.
Before she started shatting on people's beds.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she was doing that at the same time. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what she was into. We just know about the time it was reported. We don't know about anything else. And then in 1994, there was a amazing movie when Charlie Sheen was at the height of his career, and he, with Christy Swanson, was in The Chase in 1994. And I don't know why you're laughing so much. The cast of this movie is great. Lee is in it. Anthony Kiedis is in it. Henry Rollins is in it. Josh Mostel is in it. Like, this movie is casted out, and Christy Swanson and Charlie Sheen have sex while he's driving 90 miles an hour being chased by the police.
In a BMW.
That movie, what's that?
Dang it. In a BMW.
Yeah, in a BMW. Thank you very much. I wasn't going to want to be the one to bring that up.
Don't help him.
I didn't want to be the one to bring that up, but that is one of the many films that features a BMW. Not on this list. We'll just throw it out there real quick that Freddie Prinze Jr. was a passenger in a BMW that Ryan Felipe drove in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Another instant classic that involves a BMW as one of the main characters. Just throwing that one out there.
Okay, if you're just throwing stuff out, Nick Cage in Prisoners of Ghostland drove a Toyota Celica. Just gonna throw that out.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Nobody's heard of that fucking movie.
It doesn't matter. It's Nick Cage. It's Nick Cage. We're on Gone in 60 Seconds right now. So
we are on Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
He drove a lot better cars than a Celica and Gone in 60 Seconds.
On a side note of that, Hush was almost one of my summer songs. So
okay, nice. That would have been a good choice.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Kula Shaker.
Yeah, awesome song.
Yeah, absolutely awesome song. That would have been a good track. All right, has anybody on here even seen The Chase? You knew what car it was. You knew. Have you seen The Chase in it?
I have not. I watched the trailer and it looks like something I would love, actually.
It's absolutely amazing. It's so good.
Such a B movie.
It's
so B movie.
But adorable, right?
You know what? I'd probably watch it today. It came out thing for Christy Swanson. So and here I am frozen again.
Oh, you're
so I get to, but yeah, Christy Swanson was definitely in my crush days of high school crush for Hollywood celebrities kind of thing. So yeah, definitely that movie. She's smoking hot in that movie too. Like
absolutely.
Like not a whole lot of girls can pull off a short haircut, but she pulled it off, and so
yeah. Amazing.
And Gone in 60 Seconds. Like that movie's fantastic. Like it is bad. It's silly. But you know what? Anytime it's on, I will watch it. It literally is one of those ones for me.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about Eleanor? Like Eleanor's like the it car. I mean, like probably one of the most famous movie cars ever.
Absolutely.
And for decades, right? Like I mean, before Gone in 60 Seconds, she had it in Bullet. And just like that's still like an iconic car. Like if I think of a Mustang and I'm like, man, if I wanted a classic or I could afford one, let's put it that way, it would either be a 64 and a half or was it 63 and a half?
Nope, 64 and a half.
Okay, 64 and a half, red with a cream top. That's number one, or it would be Eleanor. Because like those two are just so smoking beautiful cars, man.
Well, and I think there was a Gone in 60 Seconds movie that predates that one that used the same Eleanor. Yeah. So, you know, it's just an iconic car.
It's funny to watch all those.
John Wick had a really badass Mustang too. On the
what was that?
Movie. I said John Wick had a really cool boss Mustang.
Yes, he did.
First movie as well. Yep.
I think Annette follows this company online on Instagram as well, but like it's this company that restores and rebuilds classic cars, but with like modern touches. So like air conditioned and digital displays and all that fun stuff. And pretty sure I've seen her like a couple of them as well as that I've been, but they just had one within the last couple of months of one that was a Boss Mustang, looked like just like Eleanor.
They redid they did 3 movie cars. They did the Eclipse, Brian's Eclipse from the Fast series. They did the Supra, and then they also did Eleanor, and they did it to movie spec. So it was the same specs from the movie, and then they've been selling those, and it's pretty cool. And they're in Indy, so it's neat to watch them. Yeah, they're in Indy. I've seen the car. They actually had Paul Walker's brother sign the dash of one of the cars.
Badass.
It was the Supra, I believe, that he had signed the dash of, which is cool. And there's just a lot of little details that you wouldn't know unless you're like a car nerd. Yeah. Like the decal, like the little decal on the front of the Supra was exactly like it was in the movie. And most people skip that part, so it's just, they did a really good job of recreating these movie cars. Yeah.
I always wanted to open a museum. Like if I ever had FU money, I won the lottery or something stupid with $1 billion or whatever, I think I'd open up a Midwest car collection of like movie cars and TV cars and stuff like that.
There's one in Branson, a really big one in Branson.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. I went to that one. It was pretty cool. They had so many movie cars,
That's awesome.
Yeah. If you're ever in Branson, not that I recommend one. There's not a lot of.
Is this Branson, Tennessee?
Branson, Missouri.
Oh, Branson, Missouri. Okay, thank you.
It's right on the Arkansas, Missouri border.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's kind of like a tourist trap kind of place.
I think I have been there actually. They have a Titanic museum there or something.
They do.
Yep. Okay, I remember going there.
Yeah, but there's a really big movie car museum there as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sad I missed that.
I want somebody to recreate the probe from Back to the Future 2
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where they added all the extra like body to it so that it would. So it
One of the ugliest feature cars of all time was a Time Cop. There was this weird. You'd have to almost Google a picture of it. I think it was a Nissan Sentra or something, but it looked like I don't know. It reminded me of like one of those robots off of Star Wars that go around like the little miniature car looking robot. It was a full size car, but I miss when movies went a little further futuristic cars. It seems like nowadays they just kind of put a little cladding and take the symbol off, you know?
Well, and there was a lot of times in the 90s where they would just use prototype cars that you would see in the movies, and then like 2 years later you'd see them at the Detroit show, and you're like, hey, that was in a movie 2 years ago.
Yeah, yep.
All right, we're gonna move up to row 5. Row 5, ooh. Row 5 outside, we have The Wraith, another Charlie Sheen phenomenal film. Next to that, we've got Days of Thunder, a Tom Cruise classic. And on the inside of row 5, we have Death Race, which, I mean, I didn't specify which one, so you can either do the original or the Jason Statham one. They're both, I'm pretty sure I did the Jason Statham one for rating purposes on this map, because, yeah. But yeah, so The Wraith. Has anybody seen The Wraith?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
The Wraith
Yeah.
is Charlie Sheen who dies and gets reincarnated into a car that goes and kills people, and it's amazing.
Clint Howard's in it.
Yes, Jason, I cannot believe you haven't seen this movie. Like, this is straight up your B movie alley.
I figured you would have seen it too.
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't. This is like a mayor trifecta watch party, in my opinion. Like, you, Dave, and Michael watching this movie and the ridiculous shit that goes on. Like, it's out there, man. It's like wannabe Stephen King-ish. Like,
Right.
yeah. So, all right. Days of Thunder. Obviously, everybody's seen Days of Thunder. It's classic. It's so much fun.
Top Gun in cars.
Top Gun in cars.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's the same movie, just with cars.
100% correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm
glad I'm not the only
him
one.
and Michael Rooker when they race the wheelchairs. I think that's still one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah, that's great.
And then, does anybody care about Death Race at all? Either of the Death Races?
I haven't
Not
seen
even-
it.
I my wife is a huge Jason Statham guy. Like that.
And that's why you shave your head now. I am very well aware of that.
If I can ever get back to a swimmer's body, maybe and start talking with an English accent for her, maybe that'll make her a little bit happier in life. But
thought of him as a British Bruce Willis.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison.
Very good.
That version with Tyrese and him was so freaking silly. And another one where I don't mind my suspension of disbelief. It's so silly, stupid, and fun that I enjoy the heck out of it. We'll get to it, Shane. We'll get to it. I've got a rant for you, man.
Oh,
so
I can't wait.
We'll go to row 4.
You let me know when we get to the point that you're ready to rant away. But next up, we're gonna move up to row 4. Outside row 4, we got Corvette Summer. Super. I had to put it on there for the fact that it's Corvette and Summer. I know the car isn't a huge part of the movie at all, but it was Corvette and Summer in the title. It had to get put on the list. So Corvette Summer's on there. Speed Racer is the middle of row 4, which I am not a fan of at all. Yep, I think that movie is garbage. And then the first Transporter film with right back to Jason Statham again. And the first one's phenomenal. Eminem's mom in 8 Mile. Why can't I think of her name?
Basinger.
Kim Basinger, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was who was in the first Transporter movie, if I remember right. Yep. So I really enjoyed the first Transporter movie.
I don't remember. No, I thought it was
that was cell phone or whatever that.
Oh, okay.
It was like some no-name Asian girl.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah. Yep. Good call. You're right. Yeah.
Cell phone, was that the name of that one with Chris Evans?
Yes. Is that the one that she was in?
Yeah, because she's like trapped in this attic, and Jason Statham's one of the bad guys.
That's right. Okay, Jason Statham is why I got confused on who was in that movie. Okay,
I think that's called Cell Phone.
Sure.
I'm gonna look it up while you.
I'm thinking of Phone Booth.
Yeah, Phone Booth was Colin Farrell and Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, that's right.
So Corvette Summer, obviously a great movie. Not really a lot to do with cars, but Corvette Summer's a great movie. Mark Harmon.
Mark Hamill.
Oh yeah. Why did I say Mark Harmon? What's Mark Harmon's big?
Cellular. Cellular.
There you go.
Yeah, it was
Cellular. Okay.
I thought the car had a pretty present like part of the story. Like he fell in love with it, he built it, like he spent the whole time chasing it down. It had that ridiculous body kit, like
Yeah,
I feel like they spent a lot of time in the shop, like working on it and building it and
I stand
painting
corrected.
it.
It's been a long
And
time since I've seen it.
okay, but I thought it was really cute, and it has to do with like that falling in love with a car,
Okay.
and becoming obsessed with it, which I can relate to. So
Absolutely.
so I really enjoyed it.
Was that one that you watched recently, or had you seen it before?
I watched it recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because I know when I sent you this list, you said that there was a few of them on there that you were going to try to watch before we recorded because you hadn't seen them. So I didn't know
that was one of the ones I was like,
Nice.
oh, I kind of want to watch this. Plus Mark Hamill, just seeing like a young him and something else was really cool. Yeah, it was really good.
What is Mark Harmon's big movie from the 80s that he did? Why did Mark Harmon's name come to my mind?
He did Summer School.
Summer School, thank you. Yes, I don't know.
He also did the Presidio, but I mean, like,
wasn't there two Presidios? No, I'm thinking about real life. There was two Presidios. There was one in San Diego and one in San Francisco. Cool. Totally don't need to talk about any of that stuff. Let's move up to row 3. Row 3 has The Fast and the Furious on the outside. Absolutely amazing film. Probably my favorite out of all of them on this list. Maybe not. Middle of row 3 is Talladega Nights, which is unfortunately one that I did not get into. Wasn't a fan of that. And then number 3, kind of a curveball here. We're throwing the horror genre out there, and that's Joyride, which is another Paul Walker film that I absolutely love. So anybody got anything in row 3 that they really care about?
Dear sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
like
I'm a Will Ferrell fan. I'm a Saturday Night Live guy, but I think John C. Reilly is just the thing that I don't care for in that movie.
What?
Like
they're hilarious. I think they're hilarious. Like I think it's funny. It's so quotable. I don't know. I really like it.
You ain't first, you're last.
I'm also the guy that didn't like Step Brothers until he saw it like 10 times. Like it took me a long time to even I don't hate it anymore, much like Groundhog Day. I finally found a way to enjoy it, but like I hated Step Brothers for a very long time.
So it's just that brand of humor is not working for you. That flavor.
I think so yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
It's kind of weird to me because I find Will Ferrell really annoying when he's the lead. Like there's certain actors and actresses that can't carry movies, and he is one of them. One of the exceptions is Elf by far. Like he's wonderful in Elf, but
his character is just too much.
I think that's it.
And, a little bit, right?
Like nobody acts like that kind of thing. Right. I don't know. And but yeah, like most of the time, I Melissa McCarthy's the same way. Who's the chick from Rebel Wilson? I can't like there's just certain people. It's like you need to be that side character over there. I can pay it. I don't mind you being a side character. Like I like him in Old School. Old School. Like he's great in Old School because he's just like. But yeah, for the most part, I'm just.
Do you like Anchorman?
Well, see, that tone is different than most movies, right? Because like all the other ones, it's like almost realistic, whereas Anchorman's so stupid and ridiculous that it totally works for that. So a good point with Anchorman as well. So
I love,
and the other guys, I have to give it to him for the other guys because like that movie is just so stupid as well, and who doesn't, and it's because he's not Will Ferrell in my brain yet at that point, but like him in Night at the Roxbury is just that's great.
Absolutely,
I love it. But that's because he wasn't Will Ferrell yet at that point in time.
Sure.
So he's still somebody ridiculous. So, but anyway, that's enough for my rant on Will Ferrell.
Yeah, no worries. Eric, row 3. Anything that sticks out to you?
So Fast and the Furious. I'm not a huge fan of the franchise in general,
Really?
but I get that people like it because I have those movies as well, where you check your brain at the door and you just have fun. I think the problem for me is I was a car person before Fast and the Furious came out, and I felt like it kind of ruined what going to car stuff was, because all of a sudden everybody was throwing neon lights and mufflers on their Civics, and it kind of ruined the car scene for me a little bit at that age. And I was like, I don't know, what, 20 years old.
20, yeah.
But part one is the best one, and I feel like it's definitely a good movie. I just think they kind of went astray. But part one is also basically Point Break.
Absolutely.
You know, like
Neil H. Morris, the producer of that, actually had taken it into Universal. He pitched it as, I want to remake Point Break. Here's my script for it. And Universal said, no, we're not interested in remaking Point Break. We're going to wait 20 years to remake it and make it really crappy.
Right, they did.
But yeah, so they rejected him because he's a huge Point Break fan. So he went in to try to reboot Point Break. They said no. He went back. He rewrote it as a car movie. Took it back to Universal again, and was like, "Here, I have this car movie I'm thinking about doing." They bought it. They didn't realize what they were. They literally took the same script and turned it into a car movie.
Interesting, yeah. So, but the scene with the Charger and the Supra at the end, that's such an awesome scene, right? And he lifts up the tire and it's like, yeah. But
I can't believe you got rid of your Supra. Like,
you know, it tripled in value for what I had into it.
It was an automatic.
It was sitting there. Yeah. But it went up in value so much that it's sitting in the garage. I was like, I could do a lot of other stuff with this money. And
that makes perfect sense. Yeah. And Shane drives an automatic too. So
yeah.
Unfortunately,
I've had a lot of stick shifts, but none right now.
Yeah, my stick shift BMW unfortunately got slammed into a wall, and haven't been able to find a new one yet.
I won't buy an automatic.
Sorry about that. I wasn't trying to bring the broom.
No, like literally though, if I didn't slam that car into a wall, I'd still have that BMW that was the manual. Like it's of the four of them I've owned, it was my favorite one. So just unfortunately, every time I've needed to buy a new BMW, there have not been any manuals for sale, and I couldn't wait months to find one, so I had to buy one when I could.
Yeah.
Well, my first manual one was given to me by my parents anyway, so like I had no say in that whatsoever. So, all right, we are going to move up to row two. In row two, on the outside, we have the Quentin Tarantino directed Death Proof. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun.
My favorite movie on the list, probably.
Is it? Nice. Very cool. All right. So in the middle of row two, we've got Christine, which was actually Stephen King actually doing a killer car, which again, The Wraith is kind of just a reboot of that. And then we have Cars, the only animated movie on this list. Jason, what is your level of Cars enjoyment with the kids? Did you watch it a lot with the kids? Do they care about cars?
I saw this movie in the theater when it came out. I enjoyed it when it came out. It was fine. It was fun. Fish out of water stuff kind of worked. And then I had two boys who watched it all the time.
I was wondering if that happened.
All the time.
So you have it memorized.
Oh my gosh, there's so much Cars in my brain. But yeah, Nick and Chris loved that movie. They used to watch it basically on, it was either that, Lion King, or Aladdin. I was so happy once I could start getting them to go to other movies and other TV shows, because man, but yeah, so out of the list, Cars is probably the best one in my opinion. But out of these three, Christine, I remember watching that a bunch when I was young, man. And like, I think back, and again, we've talked about this on past podcasts, things that you should not be showing your young children. Christine should not have been on the list of things for Jason to see. But that's a beautiful car. It's a beautiful car, man. Oh, yeah. Like, absolutely gorgeous car. And that ending still freaked me out. Like I could think of like how the car. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen this movie that was made in the 80s. It gets smashed and compacted into a cube, and then the camera zooms and keeps zooming in on it, and all of a sudden the radio turns on and starts coming back to life, and it freaked me out as a kid. It's still kind of freaky just thinking about it. But yeah, Christine holds a special place in my heart. And Death Proof, sorry, Eric. I was so bored. It might have been because of the fact that I watched the
Terror first.
I watched the entire thing, and with it being 3.5 or 4 hours or whatever the hell it was, we didn't start it until almost midnight. So I don't think I got home until 5 a.m. that night or something stupid like that. That definitely probably Planet Terror and Death Proof. I'm just kind of blah. I had more fun watching the trailers than I did on either one of those movies. So
that definitely was the biggest mistake that they made. Was Death Proof should have been first. Death Proof is a very slow movie. It's a very dialogue heavy movie. It is a very Quentin Tarantino movie. It's like Reservoir Dogs. A little bit of action every now and then, but it's really about the dialogue.
Like going from Desperado to Reservoir Dogs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes. So the like you should have started with that one so that everybody was still awake for that first hour and 15, 20 minutes that it was. And then you could have done the trailers, and then Planet Terror would have kept people awake for that second half. Whereas, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I still like Death Proof, and I've watched it, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times in my life, but like it's a better film when I didn't just sit through Planet Terror, and like you said, it was 3 o'clock in the morning when we were watching it. But yeah. As far as that double feature goes, I don't know who thought it was a good idea to put the action heavy movie first and then make you sit through an hour and a half of dialogue. Like, it was a really, really poor choice in my opinion.
I agree. I probably think of it more as a standalone. That's why I don't really, but I agree. It was very long right after watching kind of an action-packed movie. But yeah.
Annette, did you ever watch the double feature, or have you even seen Death Proof?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
Cool. We are going up to the front line now, the starting line, the top 3 rated movies according to the 21 that came to my head when I put my list together. On the outside, we have Rush, which I unfortunately have a rant about Rush. In the middle of row 1 is Drive, the Ryan Gosling film that has one of the best openings of any movie I've ever seen, and then the movie goes downhill after that. And then Ford versus Ferrari is our pole position, our pole sitter. It's a Matt Damon movie, so I can't really get too mad about it being there, but I'm going to jump back to Rush real quick, because Rush is the epitome of why I hate biopics. Rush is the reason that biopics should not be made. Even though Air is my favorite movie of this year, it doesn't really count. Rush is about these 2 racers that throughout the entire course of the movie, they lead you to believe that these 2 people hated each other. And the exact opposite is true in real life. They were friends. They lived together. They did nothing but support each other. They did nothing but try to push each other to be better people. And I think that would have been a way fucking better movie than what we got out of this movie about 2 people who just keep trying to do better than the other person. Like, Rush is the epitome of why I hate biopics, and I'm done. So who on here loves Rush?
Wow. Okay.
Cool, that's quiet.
I think you have to think about the nuance, though, right, of the actors, because they were rivals, right? But they also had respect for each other. And there are even scenes like after he was in the fiery accident and he was basically like, hey, you inspired me to get my ass back out here, and the other guy had equal respect, like, hey, that accident was my fault. So there was a mutual respect between the men that is there. Well,
it wasn't well done enough.
I just think that there's nuance. There's nuance in film that you got to pick up on the little things, because the movie did show that they respected each other and that they motivated each other.
Maybe. I didn't like it.
That's just how I saw it. I saw it a little bit different.
I did, because I think it would have been a better story to tell about 2 people that were friends that kept pushing each other to try to make them better than to try to give me bullshit fake drama to try to make it more drama-y. I don't know. Not a fan. Eric, do you have an opinion on Rush? Whose side are you on?
I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was
thank God.
It seemed kind of gory. Yeah. I would say probably Ford versus Ferrari would be my favorite out of those 3. It's just a really good movie, enjoyable, Christian Bale, Matt Damon. I felt like
Christian Bale was phenomenal. So I do sit here and I badmouth biopics a lot, but that is out of many of the biopics that I've seen, that is probably one of the better ones. I don't know. I kind of know the true story, and I am happy that what they did in the final race and how Christian Bale didn't win. I'm very happy that they kept it true to what happened in that race. So that I had a feeling that they were going to Hollywoodize it and they were going to change the ending and they were going to do something different, but they kept it the way it happened in the real race, and that is what makes me happy. So I did really enjoy Ford vs Ferrari, and Christian Bale was just phenomenal. Like Jason, why you got that smirk, man? You got that smirk that I know you're thinking something.
He's ready to shit all over this.
I'll tell you. So we were going to screen that movie, Shane and I. I was a pump to watch it because I love James Mangold as a director, and I'm like, this is Matt Damon, this is Christian Bale. There doesn't seem to be a weak link in this scenario. And Shane does what Shane does, and we were watching the movie, and he was having reactions to things that he had already read about that happened in real life. Whereas I don't mind knowing those things after the movie. I don't want to know those things before I go see the movie, because here I am sitting one seat away from this guy, and he's just like, and it makes these noises or whatever, because it's always, oh, they're not following exactly how it happened in real life. Big surprise, they made a Hollywood movie, it's not a documentary. And here and like right when he loses at the end, or he doesn't win at the end, let's put it that way, spoiler alert, and Shane was like, oh, finally. Like, and it was just that moment of like, could you just shut up? I don't need the running commentary. But yeah, that I've been watching movies with Shane for 25 years now, so like it's no big deal. I've learned to deal with it, but it always cracks me up because every biopic that we go to watch, he almost always has the exact same kind of reactions to it, except for Air, and that's only because his man crush did the entire movie. So and
at the same time, Ben came out and said that it's not really a biopic; it's their interpretation of events that happened. They did not consult with any of the people. There was nobody on the movie that was a consultant that lived through any of this. The writer of it just wrote a script based on the rumors about what happened. So it's not really a biopic. It's an artistic interpretation of events which were transpiring.
Okay, so you have problems with me not just turning off my brain and watching Fast X and enjoying those movies what they are, but I'm supposed to accept the fact that you have problems with every single biopic that is inspired by true events. I
mean,
Lloyd.
Look, in case you didn't see the name on the show, it's Shane Talks, and that means it doesn't have to make sense. I can say whatever I want.
Okay.
Anybody who knows me, Eric, you don't know this about me. I don't make a lot of sense when I say shit. I kind of just say shit. I don't always think through the things I say. I'm very intrepid in my choice of things to say.
He drives a BMW.
Oh my god, I'm a douchebag that drives a BMW.
So
I do use my turn signals. So what?
We'll go back to Drive for a second here. I will totally agree with you. That opening sequence is fantastic. I loved it. It makes perfect sense. It was one of the. I still think about that randomly. Like it will pop into my head. The other day, I was walking my dogs, and it popped into my head, and because I was thinking of like, what's the most common vehicle, or something. Something happened, and I was thinking. Oh, I remember in Drive, he was driving the most common vehicle because that's what he ordered from the guy who got him the car. Was like, hey, I want the most run of the line, middle of the line model. What does everybody drive? And then like he ends up with that Impala, I think it was.
It was a silver
and so
Impala.
like the silver Impala, and it was it's so brilliant, and I loved it, and I thought I was in for a great movie, and then I was just let down throughout the whole rest of the film.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't hate the movie in any way. It just wasn't as good as I was hoping it was going to be.
Yeah, and the
it
trailer
has moments still in it that I enjoy, and I think Ryan Gosling does a good job. But like as far as the story goes after that opening, I didn't get what they set me up for.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought I was going to get more of and maybe more of an action film or something, and then it just was more, yeah. And he's and it's like that strong silent type thing where like he's like, oh, I'm just not going to have any dialogue. It's like, you're not John Wick. Like, you're not that interesting. So.
No, and he did a couple of movies like that around the same time, like A Place in the Pines or whatever that was kind of very similar. That like just kind of like, oh, I'm this dude that can beat up anybody if I walk up to him type character. Like, I don't know what he was going through at that point, that's the kind of stuff he was gravitating towards or whatnot.
Especially when you're married to Eva Mendes, shut up. Just enjoy your life. Just enjoy your life, man.
All right. So out of these 21 films, the winner for each one of us is going to be decided by the movie on this list that you've seen the most number of times. So out of these 21 films, Erik, which film wins the Erik 500?
This is going to be bad, but it'd probably be Talladega Nights. I've probably
Talladega Nights pulls it up from row 3. All right. And this week we are at the Annette 500. Who wins the Annette 500? The Reynolds 500 probably sounds better than the Annette 500. We'll call it the Reynolds 500. Who wins the Reynolds 500?
Gone in 60 seconds.
I definitely can support that. That is, yep. That I'm not officially giving my answer, but that would probably be my answer also. The Mayor 500.
Holy crap!
What film crosses the finish line?
I mean, thanks to your children, right?
It has to be. Cars wins the Mayor 500 just because of my kids.
Right on.
I would, if I could push that aside, it'd be really tough which one would win between Gone in 60 Seconds and Fast and Furious.
Okay.
Like those are the ones I've seen the most, but I can't tell you what I've watched more because, like I said, anytime Gone in 60 Seconds is on, I'll leave it on the television. So, and
that just literally has one of the greatest casts in any movie.
Like, yeah, it's
everyone in that cast is like legit. All right, so Annette, you told me that I missed some, so let's go ahead and have you list off the ones that I missed.
Wait, you didn't say your favorite.
I said that there wasn't a Shane 500. I said I wasn't going to give my answer would be Gone in 60 Seconds, and it would be, like Jason said, a very tough tie between that and the first Fast and the Furious. But I think my Angelina Jolie obsession just pushes it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Paul Walker's a sexy motherfucker, but I think Angelina is just a little bit sexier than him. So I'd probably have to push it back to that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's why Mr. and Mrs. Smith, as absolutely terrible as that film is, I will put it on and watch it on mute because it's the two most beautiful people in Hollywood ever in a movie together. So, I'd probably have to say my answer would be the Gone in 60 Seconds also, just for her alone. I mean, Eleanor's beautiful, and Nick Cage is obviously awesome in anything Nick Cage does. You have the Ninth Doctor in there, like Giovanni. Like I just said, like the cast is just so amazing. All right, what movies did I miss? I know there are ones that I missed. I'm not arguing that. So, like I said, I picked the first 21 that I could think of just off the top of my head. That's what we got. What did I miss?
These are the ones that I just was sad that they weren't on here. Smokey and the Bandit.
Absolutely. That's a good one.
I made a list also. So that's
good. Okay, cool. Right on.
I feel like that the Trans Am was huge because of that film. Cannonball Run.
Oh, yep.
The Italian Job.
That's the one.
All those Mini Coopers.
I think because I'm not a Mini Cooper fan, like that movie doesn't pop to my head when people I think it's a good movie and I love Ed Norton's character in that movie, but like there are obviously car chase sequences in that movie. I'm not saying you're wrong in any way. I am just saying that I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, and that's why it didn't come to my head.
Well, and if you just made your list off of what you were thinking of, in that moment, of course you're not going to think of all of them.
Erik, what was it that you just said? I'm sorry, I missed that when you
Mini Coopers, especially the modern ones, are they're BMWs.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Cool. I guess I need to love it. I'm a Mini Cooper fan now. I'm converted. I have been converted to a Mini Cooper fan.
That's hilarious. Did I say Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh, that's a great one. Absolutely great one.
Wow.
Yep.
Thelma and Louise.
What car was it that they drove in that?
a 66 Ford Thunderbird.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, I think Mad Max, just for like the like building, there's like a whole car culture there with
Sure.
Ford
building.
Falcon. His car was a
his
Ford
police
Falcon.
car. What was it?
It was the Ford Falcon's the one with the supercharger on the hood that he
Okay.
had. That was like a pretty awesome car.
I thought it was a Ford.
It's like an
All right. What else you
Australian
got?
model.
And then just to be a Toyota person, I'm going to say Initial D.
What is that?
Oh God. Okay. You just it's the AE86, which is a Toyota Camry.
Corolla.
Yeah, or sorry, Rolla. Sorry,
yeah,
geez,
Corolla.
it's the Rolla. I normally just call it the AE86, but it's like a Japanese. It's not. It would be subtitled, but it's
Okay.
a
It's an anime.
great. Yeah, it's a great movie about like drifting and the love of the car, and there's a lot of cool Japanese cars in it. So
Cool. There
Kinda
was a
my
movie in the
jam.
Fast and the Furious franchise. The third one was called Tokyo Drift. It sounds like it does a lot of the same similar things that you're talking about. Drifting cars, Japan, like very similar.
it's a different. I mean, it's a different vibe because Tokyo Drift is like a different. People hate Tokyo Drift, so I feel like you got to give it a chance.
Which they shouldn't, because it's far better than the second movie. Ugh.
You don't
All
like
right.
Eva Mendes?
I mean, I like Eva Mendes.
Thing in that movie.
What's that?
He's the only redeeming value.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the one in the franchise that gave us Tyrese and Ludacris. And like I've had to put up with them for a lot of movies. Anyway, all right. I appreciate that list. That was a lot of a few good ones on there, and then something that I've never heard of. Eric, let's go through your list. What else you got?
Yeah, I'll go through it kind of quick. I have a Bullet, which we kind of brushed on.
Sure, Steve McQueen, obviously. Yep.
American Graffiti. There's just so many cool cars in that movie.
Oh, damn! Yeah, okay.
As a car guy, you would be all over it.
Sure.
Let's see. The Duel, Stephen King. It's
Absolutely.
just kind of like Joyride or something. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. That's like an old muscle car movie. And License to Drive. Another good
is that both Corey's? Both Corey's.
Yeah, Corey and Heather Graham.
Yep, Corey Feldman, Corey Haim.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I love that movie.
It's a great movie, right? It's one of those you can just watch every time, where he drops his dad off to go pick up the girl, and then he's like carrying all the diapers. And then let's see, Ronin, really good car chase movie.
Good, yep, absolutely.
And then some older ones, Two Lane Blacktop. It's kind of a old school racing movie from the 70s. Vanishing Point, which is where Death Proof got the white Challenger from. And then one that I don't think anybody thought about for car movies, but any Batman movie, right? The Batmobile is like classic, and I really the new Batman, I really liked how they brought the Batmobile out. That like kind of gave me chills, right?
Yes.
Like it's like it was like a monster in the corner, and
yes,
yeah, it's pretty awesome. So
I'm very stoked about that.
Yeah, so that was it. The TV shows like Knight Rider, another classic, Trans Am. And then I'm not a huge Bond fan, but the Aston Martin from the Bond movies, the DB.
It's funny that you mentioned James Bond. Let's look at like GoldenEye. What was the Bond car in GoldenEye? Would that have been the BMW Z3? Oh yeah, that was the BMW Z3 in GoldenEye. Yeah, that wasn't it?
Right. Maybe I shouldn't have brought up the
Bond drove a BMW. How awkward is that? That's really cool. Let's also, wasn't it which movie is this? Oh yeah, that's right. Jason Statham. He drove a BMW in the Transporter film.
Yep,
so that's another BMW right there. Oh, look at that. We got Tyrese and Ludacris. Like I was talking about how I didn't really care about them, but they're definitely driving a BMW, and I think that's Fast 5 in that photo. And then Mission Impossible. Do we remember what Rogue Nation? What car was it that he drove in Tom Cruise drove in Rogue Nation? That's right. It was another BMW in Rogue Nation also. That's right.
Stop.
Yeah.
I just finished rewatching 1 through 6 Mission Impossible. Actually have a lot of fun with those movies. And Shane, for some reason, I can turn my brain off, but they're okay with it. Not okay with it in Fast and the Furious, which I'm happy to complain about. But literally almost every movie, I think it's 3, it might be just 4 through 6, but it might be 3 through 6, all are BMWs. They are definitely a major sponsor of that movie.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I heard all. Can you say that again for me?
But on a different one, Baby Driver is something that none of us brought up.
Right, that's a great movie.
Ooh,
a lot of fun driving in that film that goes with that. And I was going to bring up Bond because you had the Aston Martins, you had, and even going back to like the Connery days, all the different Aston Martins that he had, as well as the BMWs. We
I
also,
don't think the BMW started until GoldenEye. I think it was a big deal.
You're right.
The fact that they switched it from an Aston Martin because it's not a British car.
And they did it for like 2 or 3 movies, and then Aston Martin was like, "Oh no, we're paying that fee to get back."
Yeah, I feel like Tomorrow Never Dies. He had like the Z7 or the Z9 or some shit like that in that one.
But yeah, those are always fun. But I can't believe nobody's brought up Ghostbusters. Like that, along with Back to the Future, is literally.
Here's the thing. When I was coming up with my list, I tried to pick movies that were actually about cars or car racing or anything. I got you. Like
we're just throwing everything out now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the point that we're at. Like, because Kit, I meant to ask you to put up on the Facebook page what everybody thought was the most iconic car from entertainment. Because you've got the DeLorean from Back to the Future, you've got Kit, you've got
Echo One,
the Echo One, you've got the Batmobile, you've got the Bluesmobile or the Bluesmobile. Is that what they called it? Was the Bluesmobile?
I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what they called
it.
The A-Team van.
Yeah, the A-Team van was on my list.
Absolutely, the Dukes of Hazzard car you could never get away with now.
Generally,
the Geo. So yeah, like of the what else am I missing on like iconic? Would we consider Optimus Prime to be an iconic car?
Ooh,
that's the weird thing is I think that probably Bumblebee is more iconic than Optimus Prime. Now, movies came out. I think the Camaro, that new generation of Camaro, is definitely something that would be more iconic for that series than Optimus himself.
Absolutely, and truth be told, like Bumblebee, the movie that they did, is probably after the first Transformers movie my favorite of the franchise. And I really enjoyed the setting and how they've done a good job of, they upgraded him to a Camaro. So then in that movie they made him like the '80s version of the Camaro, but then they also have had him be the old Volkswagen Bug at one point. That it's just it's cool when they throw nods to the different generations of the car toy. Or the animated series.
I'm gonna flip this and be kind of crazy with you guys. One of the reasons, kind of unscripted here, but we car behind me. Literally my favorite car, my dream car has been since it came out in 1994.
Tell everybody who's not on the visual aspect what you're talking about.
Sorry, good point. So the 1994 Chevy Camaro Z28 has been that car that I fell in love with as a kid and always dreamt of owning. T-top convertible would be preferred along with a stick shift, but that would be like the dream car if I didn't have 4 kids and drove a minivan for an everyday vehicle. So but yeah, my dad had a Mustang when he was growing up, so Mustang, and my brother had one growing up, so it was always one of those things where like I always kind of like loved the Mustangs, but then the Chevy Camaro with the sunken in eyes and that rounded off front was something that just absolutely made an impression on me at that age. So I was 13 when that came out, 12, 13 when that car came out, and I absolutely fell in love with it. But so it's just, so what are one of your cars that maybe you own it because you have owned it because you loved it so much, or you haven't owned it, but you would have loved to own it or would still love to own it? Each person, give me your car. Annette, why don't we start with you?
Well, while they think about that for 1 second, real quick, I just want to ask you, did Jennifer Reynolds ever let you drive her Chevy Camaro?
I drove plenty when I sold cars. I was okay with it, but it's different driving somebody else's compared to what you want to do to your own vehicle. So,
I just wanted to know if you had ever gotten to actually drive one, so that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Annette, go.
So, okay, I have like tiers of cars as far as like if I have my dream car that's like not affordable, like ever.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you could go for like Corvettes and Ferraris and Lamborghinis,
Sure.
but something practical, I guess I should say, something that you could probably own.
Oh, okay. It would be the Toyota Celica GT4, but in left-hand drive. So one from Canada or whatever. It's basically my Celica with a beefier engine. Yeah, I would like one of those or a Lexus LFA. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Eric?
It would have to be just something from the muscle car era, just like a 69 Cuda, or I don't know, probably like a Eleanor Mustang or something like that. Yeah, something a little unattainable. The Supra was one of the ones that I thought I would never get, but it just worked out where the prices were down. I was able to get one, but yeah, I have a problem where I don't think there's anything that I'd want that I wouldn't get rid of at some point.
Okay.
Because one of the ways that I've bought my car was buying and selling them when the values were down, and then when they go up, and that's kind of how I've always done it. So, yeah.
Cool. Shane?
1992 Lamborghini Countach.
Cool. Might be able to afford that now if it has like 200,000 miles on it, but something a little bit more practical and obtainable for you, Shane.
Everybody had that on their wall, right?
Yeah. Mine was a Diablo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like there's technically like two answers to this, because one of them is probably not attainable anymore, but it was about 20 years ago. I attempted to buy a DeLorean. It was in Texas. It was $5,000. It had a lot of stuff wrong with it, and at that time I wasn't aware of the facility that you could go to purchase all the leftover DeLorean parts. Had I been privy to knowing about that facility, I might have attempted more to go buy that DeLorean, because I have never since then seen one anywhere near that price. It was before the big resurgence of them. It was 2004 or 5, because it was during my first marriage when I was trying to convince myself to go buy it. Ended up not happening, but yeah, that's like one of my biggest car regrets in life, is the fact that I didn't just pull the trigger and go buy this car and deal with it later, because that's usually how I do shit in life. I just do it without thinking about the consequences, and then I figure it out later. But in all reality, if you go to Jason, Annette, I don't know if this happened your senior year or whatnot, but our senior year, Herf Jones had a senior book that you could buy. And in that book, it had places for you to put pictures of your friends, and it had like questions that you could ask or answer and write in your answers to it and whatnot. In my senior book, it was like, in 10 years, I want to do this. I want to be working here. I want to be doing this and that and all this kind of stuff. When I was a senior in high school, I answered the question of what I wanted to be doing in 10 years. I wanted to be a lawyer, which I'm technically not a lawyer now, but I do work for a law firm. So that's kind of come full circle, 20 some years later. And then the car that I wanted to be driving was a BMW M3, which I technically don't drive an M3, but I have since owned 4 3 Series BMWs. So in my eyes, I drive the car that I said 23 years ago I wanted to drive, and I work in the field that I wanted to work in when I was a senior in high school. 25 years? It's not 20, it's 25 years, because it's 2023. It's 25 years that we've been out of high school. So yeah, thanks for that, and reminding me that my mental math is terrible. Thank God I'm not an accountant. But yeah, so that kind of just makes me happy. Like I love all of my BMWs that I've had, and I love the fact that when I was a senior in high school, because of the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer and Ryan Felipe driving that BMW in that movie, for whatever reason, I became obsessed with that car, and I have since owned 4 variations of it, essentially. My very first one was the same body style from that movie, because my first one was in 2002, so it was the E46 body style. But yeah, so I kind of have driven or currently drive the car that I've always wanted to drive.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So we now come to my favorite part of any episode ever. And that is when we have a new person on for the very first time. We give them the Horowitz Questionnaire. The Horowitz Questionnaire goes back almost 20-ish years now to when Troy was still blogging, and all of us, not all of us, but a lot of our friend group were blogging, and Troy put up a blog that had the original version of the Horowitz Questionnaire, which was 19 questions long. We have since cut it down to 10, the 10 that I think are the best ones to get to know somebody with. And so both Annette and Erik tonight will be answering all 10 questions in the Horowitz Questionnaire. Mr. Mayor, if you will start with the odd questions.
So we're going to go, we'll switch up between Annette and Erik, going from question to question kind of deal. But yeah, we'll answer, 1A, 1B kind of thing. So we'll start with Erik. What is the first film you ever remember seeing, whether it was at home or in a movie theater?
So it's kind of tied, but I went with a movie theater because I can't remember what I've watched at home first, but it was a tie between Gremlins and Red Dawn. That I saw in theaters. Yeah, so I was pretty young, but I remember going to the theaters and watching both of those, and I can't remember which one was first.
Both good options.
Yeah. Red Dawn, my parents told me that it was a movie where Porky Pig gets shot in the butt, and that's what we're going to go see. And for some reason, I was like, what? Okay. And then, I don't know why they took me to go see Red Dawn.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Red Dawn's pretty calm. I believe.
It's not that
bad. Rated R?
The first one was PG-13.
It was PG-13? Okay, cool.
Right, 80s PG-13, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Annette?
Mine is E.T.
Okay. Great choice. Or not a choice. You didn't really have a choice, but great answer.
I remember that.
Very cool. Was it at the theater?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. We will start with Annette. What is your all-time favorite film?
Back to the Future.
Oh.
I know you wore that for me today, so.
I wore it because it was the only car shirt or even car-related or close to shirt. But I mean, the universe works in weird ways sometimes. So, Back to the Future is a great answer. Mr. Erik, what is your favorite film of all time?
Yeah, Back to the Future was so close to being on my list because it's just like one of those movies you can enjoy all the time.
It's phenomenal.
But I wrote down Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I just they're a movie. It's got Western in it. It's got action. It has a little bit of everything in it. So I can watch it a bunch of times.
I have a lot to unpack with that answer because I say issue very lightly, is the fact that a movie that would have come out when you were 24-ish is
my favorite movie.
Yeah, like there wasn't something from your childhood that I'm unfortunately one of those nostalgic people that like shit from my childhood just outweighs everything from once I became an adult. Yes, I'm fucking miserable about that shit. I hate anything after I became an adult.
I'm like that with music. So I don't really like any music outside of the early 2000s. Is probably like when music just died for me.
Absolutely. I get shitty when I'm like, fuck anything that came out in the 2000s, and then like I'll hear a song and I'll be like, oh, that's a great song. What year did that come out? 2001. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be Back to the Future for me then if I was to think of something nostalgic that for my just something that can't be messed up. I
accept that answer.
When Universal Studios got rid of the Back to the Future ride.
Right? Why would you get rid of that ride?
I mean, it was so amazing. Like, I don't care. I just can't enjoy the Simpsons ride.
No, that's stupid.
And I love the Simpsons. I hate that ride.
I think I was 16 one of the times I was at Universal, and I literally did nothing all day but wait in line 6 times for like over an hour each time to ride Back to the Future. I didn't care about any other ride while I was there.
Like the queue was awesome. It made you feel like you're part of the movie and everything. And I've watched the whole thing on YouTube a bunch of times.
Nice,
I'll revisit it.
I own multiple different versions of that. Like pretty much every anniversary edition they've ever released, I own on DVD and then Blu-ray, and I own it on VHS and everything. But like on one of the releases, they had the entire ride that you could watch on the DVD.
Yeah.
And it was so much like. I'm sitting on my couch, like leaning with it, pretending I'm on the ride. Like it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Mr. Mayor, question 3.
Question 3 is, What is your favorite line in a film, Erik?
Obviously, you're not a golfer. I don't know why that sticks with me from Big Lebowski
Oh, okay.
all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
just something I think all the time.
Nice. Annette?
Miss Annette?
Okay, so I have two. One is that I say all the time, which is I'm always like, "You're killing me, Smalls." I say that. I like quote that all day long. But then I just love the quote from Great Expectations, and it's like at the opening scene where they say, "I'm not going to tell you the story how it happened. I'm going to tell you how I remember it." And so that always just stuck with me because it's so cool because we're always telling something from our perspective versus necessarily what reality was. So I love that quote.
Cool. Anytime anybody ever calls me out for telling a story wrong from now on, I'm just gonna be like, "Great Expectations, bro." Like,
there you go.
Yep.
Dickens.
Question number 4. What film made you realize that movies are an art? Annette?
So also Great Expectations, when I realized that everything in the film is green, set design, costume design, everything is just like, that was like artistic choice. And I'd seen the movie many, many times and it just hit me one day. I was like, everything is green. And I realized that was an intentional choice.
You're talking about the 98 version?
Yes.
Yep.
Gwyneth Paltrow version. Yes.
Absolutely. Erik, what movie made you realize that movies are an art?
Well, I wasn't a little kid, but it was Clerks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it just watching it, and me and my friends used to like to make little movies, and it's just something about it. I was just like, man, this is just the dialogue and everything. I don't know. It was so cool when it came out. It was like one of those, those guys just made that movie on such a low budget, and it was awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. I fully support that answer.
All right. So what movie do you consider your guilty pleasure, Erik?
I catch a lot of shit for this, but I enjoy it. It's Pacific Rim.
Okay.
It's a really stupid movie, but maybe I like watching big robots fight.
Nothing wrong with that.
I own the first one and the second one. Hey, Shane, guess what? Both in 3D.
Yeah, when I saw the first one,
didn't see that coming.
It was like, oh.
Annette, what movie do you consider guilty pleasure?
These movies are so bad. The acting is bad. The script is bad. It's just bad.
Talk about Fast and the Furious. Got it. Moving on.
I can't disagree.
No, I was gonna say, although that probably also applies, but I was gonna say Twilight. But I like it. It's bad, but I like it.
See, Erik, this is what a fucking guilty pleasure is. Something that people are fucking not supposed to say they like. Pacific Rim is cool. I'm with you on Pacific Rim.
Okay.
This is what a guilty pleasure is, where I'm literally like, don't know if I ever want to talk to this girl ever again. Like, you know what the only redeeming factor is in the Twilight films? Is the fact that Anna Kendrick somehow has like 5 minutes of screen time in each one of them.
Oh, God.
That is the only reason to watch any Twilight film. Oh my God. See, Erik, that's how you do a guilty pleasure.
I see. My brother, he gives me hell every time I talk about Pacific Rim, but yeah, you're right. Twilight, that's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, well, no offense.
Don't tell anyone.
All right, question number 6. Annette, what is your all-time favorite actor or actress?
Reese Witherspoon.
Support
all day long. All day.
She has a great body of work.
Love her.
Mr. Erik, what is your all-time favorite actor or actress?
A lot of people are going to have this. Probably Daniel Day-Lewis. Just, anything is good. If I was going to
good in everything he does, he just doesn't do a lot of shit I like. That's my problem with him. Like, he is really good in everything I see him in, but I just don't usually like the stuff that he chooses to do.
Yeah, my second answer, I picked a weird one just because I was like, somebody that people wouldn't think of is Michael Keaton. I just every time Michael Keaton's in a movie, I like it. So ever since I was a kid, from Gung Ho to Beetlejuice to Multiplicity, they're just fun movies, and he's such a funny character.
Mr. Mom.
Oh yeah, great.
Yep.
Yeah,
Jack
great.
Frost. All right. So who is your favorite director of all time, Erik?
Oh, we know the answer to this.
Tarantino, but the runner-up would be the Coen brothers.
Okay.
Tarantino. Yeah.
Oh, baby girl.
Annette, your all-time favorite director?
I'm gonna go with Tim Burton.
Oh, okay.
I love his quirky, weird style.
Okay. So then let's just side note all of this. What would be your favorite Tim Burton movie that he directed?
Oh, there's so many. Like Edward Scissorhands is
Right
really,
on. And
really
Erik,
good.
your favorite Tarantino film?
Maybe besides Kill Bill, I guess, but Pulp Fiction was the one that really, yeah. Didn't Tim Burton do Ed Wood?
Yes.
Yeah, I love Ed Wood.
That one's also really
like
good.
One of the movies that nobody else can relate when I say I like that movie so much. But I liked it.
All right. Question number 8. Who is your favorite movie character of all time? Annette.
Elle Woods from Legally Blonde.
Right on. And Erik?
I really like Bill the Butcher, Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York. It was just such a cool character, and he did it so well.
Yep, both of those answers make sense for both of you. Mr. Mayor, your favorite question?
Who is your favorite movie character of all time?
We literally just did that.
Yep. Oh, sorry. What is your favorite? The dogs are distracting me. Sorry. What is your favorite movie snack food? Erik.
Popcorn and a blue icy.
Ah, very nice. So a lot of people ask us to break this up. So you got your popcorn answer. If it was a candy answer, what would your favorite candy be?
Maybe some for movies, probably like snow caps or something that I would never eat anywhere else. Yeah.
Right on. Annette?
I'm a bunch of crunch girl.
Okay. Right on.
Bunch of crunch.
Do you prefer candy over popcorn or popcorn over candy?
I would do candy most times. Actually, yeah. Candy and a soda.
All right. Question number 10. The final question sort of on the Horowitz Questionnaire. We're casting the Annette Reynolds life story movie. Who do you want to play Annette Reynolds in your film?
Elizabeth Moss.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just think she would be it.
That is not who I would have picked, so that's very interesting. Erik, it's the Erik Balanza. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. It's the Erik Balanza. It's the Erik B film. Who do you want to cast to play yourself in a film?
This is a hard one. I went with Michael Pena.
Oh shit! Okay, amazing actor.
Do it justice. I feel like he could do it justice.
Very cool. Like literally, I wanted his character from the first Ant-Man. Oh, I don't know, since it's a Marvel movie, you may not have seen it, but his character in the first Ant-Man is literally one of my favorite characters in all of the Marvel movies. Like,
yeah, he's great.
Just him retelling stories is literally what I would just wish they'd do with all those films. But now we've got the curveball part 2 of question number 10. Erik, you're going to only have to answer half of this. But Annette, in that movie with Kate Moss, obviously Jason and I are a part of that movie.
Who she said?
The right up sneaking.
Elizabeth
Moss. Are they sisters? Are they related at all?
I don't know.
Yeah, I got no clue. Cool. So Elizabeth Moss, I'm just going to edit that part out because that makes me look really dumb. In the Annette Reynolds film starring Elizabeth Moss, who plays Jason and who plays Shane?
I have no idea. Are you kidding me right now?
Erik, you only have to answer the Jason part since you've had about 2 hours of introduction to me. So you don't have to cast me, but if you can start thinking about who you would cast as Jason in your life story. Annette, have I bought you enough time to get an answer?
I'll do Kevin Smith.
Oh, that is phenomenal casting.
He's taking the butter knife out, spreading it on the bread.
That's great casting there. That'd be fun.
But Shane, do you realize who Elizabeth Moss is?
I have no
clue. I think we need to show him who Elizabeth Moss is.
The Invisible Man remake.
Yeah.
She's the main girl.
Matt and
Handmaid's
Handmaid's Tale. Okay, I do know who she is. I got you. Yeah, absolutely not who I would have cast as you, but that's fine.
Who would you have cast as me then? If you're asking hard questions here.
You answer who you would cast as Jason and I will think about that.
I thought it was good once I Googled it. I didn't know. I was like, who's Elizabeth Moss? But then when I Googled her, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
She looks like me. She just like we have the same. There's something, I don't know.
Yeah, I've got my opinions on everybody, so.
I don't know. This is too hard. This is way too hard.
Like, we're literally people you've known for 23 years. Like, just who would you cast?
Remind you? Yeah,
like who do we remind you of?
So for you, it would be the guy in Scream who is the killer.
Okay. Which one? There were two of them.
Spoilers. The one that looks like you.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think we all know who you're talking about. I just want to see
Matthew Lillard.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. There we go.
I've heard that one before. Other people have said that before.
Oh, see? Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was the other? Jason Statham. Yeah, for Jason.
I'll take that all day long.
Absolutely who I would cast in my movie about Jason. Absolutely, that's who I
nailed
cast.
it.
So I'm gonna go for fun here. Annette, Natalie Portman.
Yes, that's it. That's my answer too. Yes. 100%
you stole his answer.
Yes.
You can't do that.
It was one of those mind things that Jason and I do where I'm thinking of the answer and then he just pulls it out for me. Like every episode when he steals my number one on Mount Rushmore, he always has the same number one. Exactly.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched her in a movie and she just, the way she moves her face or gives a look or something that I'm like, that's so Annette.
Yep.
Like it pops into my head all the time. And then Erik, I'm sorry, Turtle from Entourage, Jerry Ferrara.
There's nothing to apologize about. That is great casting.
I love him to death, but yeah, like I think he would play an awesome Erik. So
you know who else I could? Now that you mentioned Entourage, somebody else that I could see playing you would be Piven. Jeremy Piven.
Oh,
yes,
nice.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I'm not so angry. I don't think I'm so angry, but I definitely could go for some Jeremy Piven. So
yeah, you're right. He's a little.
I mean, in Entourage he's angry, but Jeremy Piven has a lot of other really good films where he's not as angry as Entourage.
You're right.
I mean, him and Cusack did a whole bunch of stuff together where he was not an angry little man.
I love Serendipity, and him and his character in Serendipity is awesome too. So.
Yep. Awesome, guys. Well, I absolutely appreciate both of you coming on. Annette, it's great to catch up with you. Erik, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you, sir, and chat movies. It was a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I am so glad we were able to get both of you guys on here. Next month, July, we are doing summer movie camp with Jason's older brother, Dave, who I worked summer movie camp with at Clearwater way back in the day. So I'm looking forward to talking about kids movies, summer kids movies. I mean, we've already done our summer blockbusters episode, so we'll probably kind of try to focus more on like kids movies and what Dave has shown his kids as far as like summer blockbusters go and stuff like that. But I am just mega excited to have Dave Mayer on the next episode. And we got a dog cameo tonight. So awesome. Thank you guys both for being on here. Thank you to everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. And we will see you next month.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.